Off-roading is a major part of Utah, both currently and historically. Off-roading is one of the things that Utah, especially southern and eastern Utah, is known for. This is due to the fact that Utah has not only gorgeous outdoor area, but also because much of the land is accessible to all and is known as public. But now, the federal government is enforcing closures of our public lands, shutting down places that people go off-road. They have even enforced closures near Moab, which is known for its world-class off-roading and scenery, along with many other beautiful places located in eastern and southern Utah. These closures were not endorsed by state and local governments, and the vast majority of people don't want them. Starting with the most recent closures that happened in southern Utah near Moab. The federal government shut down trails that were part of the public lands north of Moab. This area was well known for its access to the Green River along with the landscape that surrounded it. Around 315 miles of road ended up being closed in the area, which makes up almost a fourth of the roads that exist in that area. Most of these roads weren't even hardcore off-road trails, they were just county roads that could be driven by anyone. In these closures, there were a few well-known and popular trails that were closed, such as Hey Joe Canyon, which was a road maintained by a local four-wheeling group that went to a ghost town by the Green River. Along with the large closures in Moab, there have recently been two new national monuments created, taking about 6 million acres of our public land. These two national monuments, known as Grand Staircase Escalante and Bears Ears, were created on basically empty land that was primarily used for cattle grazing, but also had some good off-road trails as well. While some argue that this land is special and there's a reason for this, I have been to one of them myself, and the land was basically just an empty sagebrush with little to do except for the few small attractions there. These closures limit our access to public lands and make it harder for everyone to visit. While this may seem to only affect avid off-roaders, there are many people out there who have a disability who want to go see nature. They did this by driving down some of these roads that are now closed and enjoying the scenery. While those roads are still open to hiking and non-motorized bikes, not everyone is going to be able to hike or bike for that long to go see stuff. For example, Hey Joe Canyon was a 45-mile long dirt road to get to the ghost town, and now anyone who wants to see that has to hike or bike out there, which for many is not a viable option. There are even more effects than just people trying to visit these places. It also affects the economy. For these closures in Moab, it limits the areas that trail guides and groups are able to take their customers to go see stuff. Some of the trails closed were used to make money and were even used in Moab's biggest event, the Easter Jeep Safari. These implications get even bigger when we look at the national monuments. While these areas are further away from the heavy tourism, these areas were used by ranchers to let their cattle graze. Without these areas, they now have to go and find some other places to let their cattle graze, which may not be an option for some. These closures not only have the people speaking against them, the local and state governments have challenged these rulings in an attempt to reverse the closures of our public lands. Along with the government's challenges and lawsuits, there are two major organizations involved in this, which are the Blue Ribbon Coalition and the Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance. The Blue Ribbon Coalition is an off-road organization who is fighting back against these closures, attempting to remove them and keep our public lands open. The Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance is a group that is pushing for more closures and are the main reason that these closures happened in the first place. These closures of our public lands have major implications more far-reaching than one would think. These closures, unless stopped, are only going to get worse as time goes on, with Moab and the two national monuments being the example of what to do. We can only hope that we can successfully reverse what has been done and stop further damage from being done.